Hi everyone, I hope you had a great spring break. I decided I'm going to make a video on how to do some of this practice test to help you out. Hopefully this answers some of your questions. Alright, so number one, use information given to figure out the side length of BD. So basically, here is BD. So what we need to do is, first thing, we need to figure out this AD. If we figure out AD, we can figure out BD because then we'll have three sides. So we're just looking at this triangle right here. So we're going to use Pythagorean theorem. We have an A squared, a B squared equals C squared. 16 squared plus B squared equals 65 squared. So 256 plus B squared equals 65 squared, which is 4225. I minus 256. So I get, it's a B. B squared equals 3969. And when I take the square root of it, because B equals the square root of 3969, I get 63. So B is 63. So now that we know that B is 63, I don't need to deal with this anymore. I just know that 63, we'll call that A, plus B squared equals C squared. 63 squared plus B squared equals 105 squared. So 63 squared is 3969 plus B squared equals 105 squared, which is 11,025. I minus 3969. $7,056. So B squared equals 7,056. So B equals the square root of 7,056. 84. So your answer is 84 for this whole side. And it wants us to know BD. And there we go, 84. Question 2. For the right triangles below, find the values of the side lengths D and A. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. So this is special right triangle. So special right triangles for 30, 60, 90. This is 1. This is 2. This will be 1 times the square root of 3. So basically, to go this way, what we're doing is 3 divided by the square root of 3. See how we multiplied by the square root of 3 to go this way? So this way we divide. And it wants us to do it to the nearest tenth. So we do 3 divided by square root of 3, which is 1.732 approximately. So we round to the nearest tenth, so 1.7. All right. So let's go here. For a 45, 45, 90, if these are x or 1, this is just whatever it is times the square root of 2. So this will just be 2 square root of 2, which in a calculator, 2 square root of 2 is 2.8. That's the nearest tenth. So those are your answers for that. This one wants you to find exact values. That's radical form. So if we multiplied by the square root of 2 to go this way, multiplied by the square root of 2, when we go this way, right, which is the same because this is A also, you divide by the square root of 2. So this would be 2 divided by the square root of 2. Now, that isn't your final answer. Remember that this guy has to come up here. And we leave the 2 by itself. So the 2, this guy is going to come right here. And we just leave the 2 there. And see how the 2's cancel out? Just leaving us square root of 2. All right, this one, all we do is we multiply by the square root of 3. 6 square root of 3. We're done. All right. we need to find the tan of B. Remember, we have SOHCAHTOA. So the tangent is opposite over adjacent. So when we look at B here, this is the opposite, this is the adjacent. So 24 over 7. All right, the sine of B, which is going to be opposite over hypotenuse, 24 over 25. And the cosine of B is just going to be adjacent over hypotenuse, so 7 over 25. Find the exact value for sine of theta. This is called theta, it's just a symbol. So in order to find the sine, we have to have the hypotenuse. So we'd use Pythagorean theorem. 5 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. 25 plus 144 equals c squared. 169 equals c squared. So the square root of 169 is 13. So the sine of theta is going to be opposite over hypotenuse, so 12 over 13. So 12 divided by 13 is, what's the exact value? So exact value is just a fraction. And we're done. Solve for x. Well, we have to look at what sides we have. We have a 23, and you see you have an opposite and hypotenuse. So when you look at the SOHCAHTOA, opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So the sine of 23 degrees equals the opposite x over 10, which is the hypotenuse. When that happens, the 10 goes in front. So you have 10 sine 23 degrees equals x. So, and that equals 1 to the nearest tenth. So it would be 3.9. Solve for x in the triangle, same thing. We have opposite and adjacent. So SOHCAHTOA tells me tangent. So the tangent of 37 degrees equals the opposite over the adjacent. The 11 goes in front. So you have 11 tangent, 37 degrees equals x. Gives us 8.3 when you round off. Okay, number 8. See, we have an angle, but we have opposite and hypotenuse, so that's sine. So the sine of x equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. Remember, when you want to find the angle, we're going to do the inverse, right? So the inverse sine of x, the inverse sine of 14 over 22 equals x. Remember, we just take these guys and we switch them and do the inverse. So I hit second sine 14 divided by 22, and I get about 40 degrees, and you round it to the nearest tenth. So 40 degrees. Number 9, round your answer again, right? So I have adjacent and hypotenuse. So the cosine of x equals 5 over 6. So the inverse cosine of 5 over 6 equals x. So 33.6. Finally, a ramp. A ramp 16 feet long rises to a platform. The bottom of the platform is 11 feet from the foot of the ramp. Find x. So when you think about it, once again, adjacent hypotenuse. Cosine of x equals 11 over 16. The inverse cosine of 11 over 16 equals x. Second cosine, 11 divided by 16 is about 46.6 degrees. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so 10 questions, 9 minutes while explaining. If I went a little fast, you can go back and just pause it, rewind it, or ask me questions. All right, good luck.